Everyone, it's Michael with one mic out, and I just wanted to kind of throw some stuff out at you. Um, I've never been a big reader, if you will. I mean, I've read my fair share of books in my life, front to back, but I've never been one that's like I have to read this series, or I have to, I want to read, X, Y, and Z books for whatever reason. But I think the reason for that is in this day and age, we're such fast paced lives, and we create this. It's a problem we self perpetuate. I think where we think we don't have enough time to do certain things, and so we try and prioritize. But what we're prioritizing is fucking out of whack in terms of I know that we waste so much more time now on our phones and playing video games or streaming movies or shows or things like that, to where something like reading seems trivial, seems kind of minuscule, seems kind of just yeah, why when I could just watch something. But I think whenever we do read, we enjoy it in the moment. We're like, wow, this is actually I really like this. But maybe it's not as stimulating in terms in the very beginning. The thought process of stimulating your brain when you think about picking up a book and reading just isn't as shock and awe as maybe a TV series or a TV or a movie or something like that. Well, there's other mediums in which you can read, and one of those is listening. I have an Audible account I've had for years, and I've had listened to and read countless books on it. But I recently reactivated it, I should say, just within the last month or so, just because of my commute into work. And that's a good time to kill books, is like your commute into work. We listen to the same music day in and day out on the radio, or on whatever streaming app you listen to music on. And it's the same shit over and over and over. And then at my job where I work right now on a day in and day out basis, I'm not allowed to have phones with me, tucked away in a cave, no windows. You can't have any sort of devices that can record or Bluetooth. So I can't really listen to anything in there. So we're stuck to the radio, and that just is the same thing. I don't know how many times I've heard Pearl Jam, Nirvana. My buddy and I were talking about the other day, Creed, Bush, all those guys are just like, oh my God, stop, make it stop. But then he realized if you make it stop, then it's just all quiet and awkward. But I've been trying to kill as much time as I can while driving, because I don't feel like music is great for you, and it definitely is it's a stress reliever, and it's a influencer, it's a motivator. But also, if it's the same thing over and over again, I just think we're just doing it just to kill the clock on our way into work, when I feel you could be more constructive with your time by listening to podcasts, which are good. I try and tune out the news as much as I can, because you're going to get inundated with that throughout the day in your news feed anyway. But reading is a good way. You're listening to books on tape, if you will. And so right now I'm in the process of listening to this book. About 3 hours in, there's 12 hours of this book called Can't Hurt Me. And it's written by David Goggins. And a little background on David Goggins is he was a mid to late 70s baby, and African American, grew up in a predominant white town in the Northeast, but still dealt with a lot of the what came with being an African American, growing up in the 80s and 90s, and it gets into dabbles in a little bit of all that racism and whatnot, and how hard it would be having to kind of be a family of like the only African American family in the area that is trying to fit in to a predominant white area, and that I can 100% understand in terms of being a minority, whether it's through blood, race, ethnicity, religion, whatever, and then being in an area that's predominant something else. It's the book is starts off kind of just telling about his upbringing and things like that, but he goes on to become a Navy SEAL in Naval Special Warfare. But prior to that, he had joined the Air Force. He talks about it. He dabbles in it a little bit, just tells you a little bit about it. Joined the Air Force, coincidentally became a TACP. He wanted to be a pararescueman, just like most people who join the Air Force who want to do some sort of special operations will either, their story is always was, I was going to be a PJ, or I was going to be a combat controller, or I was going to go TAC-P. Predominantly, normally TAC-P is the one that back in the day didn't really have a swimming requirement. So if you were crappy at swimming and you were going to become a PJ, or you were going to become a combat controller, then and you couldn't swim, then you would kind of trickle down into TAC-P because you really can't transmit, and call in airstrikes from underwater, if you will. So that's how it is. And it's changed now, but that's how it was. And so he ultimately wanted to become a PJ, didn't make the swimming part, and then went into TAC-P, was in it for 4 years, and then become an ETAC or / JTAC, which is the qualification, the qualification and the, followed by the certification to being approved to actually call in the actual airstrikes. So he kind of just did his 4 years, gets depressed and got out. And that's essentially where I'm at in the book right now. But he talks about something in the book that really fucking resonates with me. And man, I'm telling you, like, how straightforward and direct and just forthcoming he is insane, because, I feel like I'm writing the book, with the majority of what he's talking about, because a lot of the feelings that he's conveying are the feelings that I've felt about myself, growing up and even today, to just everything around him. And he talks about one thing that I've always, I was like, this dude's in my head. He talks about how motivation is shit, and motivation will get you killed. Motivation is horseshit, meaning it's the discipline that counts, the determination and discipline, which trumps motivation. Yeah, motivation can have its beneficial factors to it and things like that. But what the point he's trying to make is, in this book, he's talking about, you can be, motivation is going to be dictated by the emotion in which you find yourself right now. Meaning, you could watch a movie about the most badass. If you're a beta dude that thinks you're an alpha, and you watch 12 Strong, or you watch 13 Hours or something, you're like, I'm going to go be a fucking Navy SEAL. I'm going to go be a Green Beret. I'm going to do that. And all of a sudden you get just a tad bit of motivation. I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to do this. I'm going to change my life. And then that whole New Year's resolution style of creating a goal for yourself is gone the next day. That's motivation. You were motivated because there was an inclination that happened in that moment because of a feeling or a sentiment that you had, which caused you to feel a certain way, which caused you to get excited, which caused a little bit of motivation within you. But motivation is temporary. Motivation goes away. And I've always thought this, how motivation, in the military, we always call it false motivation, which it's obviously false. False motivation is discipline. It's determination. What that serves as, instead of something that can be temporary and go away, one way that David puts it in his book is like, motivation could be, I'm going to go run every day. And you get ready, you're super motivated, put your sweats on, your shoes on, sweatshirt on, you're like, I'm going to go run, and you open the door and it's cold. It's freezing outside, or it's snowing or whatever. And you close the door and go back to your couch and turn on the TV. That's motivation. You were motivated, but you didn't follow through. You didn't stay the course. You didn't hold to the rod and stay on the straight and narrow to achieve the goal that you supposedly wanted to complete. Where determination and, the three Ds, discipline, determination, desire, weren't trumping his motivation, at that time, or the motivation at the time. Where determination, discipline, and discipline, you would have been like, fuck that. I don't give a shit what it's doing outside. I'm going to go fucking run. I'm going to go run my 3 miles. I'm going to get it done. I don't give a fuck how I'm feeling right now. I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow through with it. And that's the difference between people who, are, motivate and who are motivated, but are they really? And those who are disciplined. It's the go-getters versus the shoulda, woulda, couldas, in life. The ones who, I was going to do pararescue, or I was going to do combat control or TAC P, or I was going to become a ranger, or I was going to go dev gru and do something like that. Um, and we let ourselves, a lot of times we let ourselves get eaten up by the failure that hasn't even happened yet. We just see, we know ourselves so well that we think that that vision we have of ourselves is so mapped out that I wouldn't have made it anyway. Fuck it, I'll just go do something else. And you go the path of least resistance versus the path of total resistance, which the path of total resistance is going to be the path that defines you. It's going to be the path that you need to go, the path that the trail that you need to blaze in order to become who you truly know you can become, and realize your 100% potential, and make that a thing, make it tangible, versus I could do that, but I am just a fat ass. And that's just who I'm always going to be. But I'm going to complain about it all the time. No, the mirror, as the book goes on to say, mirror doesn't lie. You look at yourself in the mirror, and a lot of times, the mirror is never lies. It's going to tell you the absolute truth. It's going to tell you what you look like. It's going to tell you, everything. You're going to see the look on your face. You're going to tell if you're overweight. You're going to tell if you're out of shape. It's just a lot of things in this book just, man, cause the brain just to start going in circles. And it goes on to talk about bullies, how bullies actually serve a purpose in your life because, and I used to always say, thick skin, you got to have thick skin, constructive criticism. You got to have thick skin in order to take that criticism and use it as a construct, something to edify you in your life. You have to have thick skin, because if you always let it get under your skin, then you're always going to take a defensive posture to it, and you're not going to want to learn from what is being told to you as an learning opportunity. And he goes on to talk about bullies, how a lot of times bullies are some of the best tools to use in terms of truth being thrown at you. A lot of times they tell you stupid, you're fucking stupid. Maybe you are stupid. Maybe you chose to cheat your way through school, or to take the path of least resistance when it came to certain things in life, to where you were less than honest, or you found a loophole or a corner to cut, and that's what you took. And now someone can see that, and all of a sudden you became transparent for the moment, and someone's calling you out on it. And yeah, even though they're saying it in a fucked up way to you, they're still probably spitting some truth at you. That maybe, if a lot of, you put it out there, a lot of fat kids get bullied. Why? Because they're fat, easy targets. They're overweight, but instead of saying, okay, well, not being so soft, no pun intended, by saying, you know what, I'm going to do something about that, they get coddled this day and age. And that's where we find ourselves right now in politics, society, pop culture. Everything we see is based on, our upbringing and the way we lived our lives previously to where we're at right now. Everything around us, is a direct reflection of that. And that's why we see so much of, you could say, like that soft culture, that wokeness, the cancel culture, all that, because people can't take the constructive criticism anymore, because skin is too thin, and people allow, they search for things to be offended by. They allow things to get under their skin so that the way they can become a victim, and they can seek out attention. And it ultimately boils back down and circles back around to serotonin and dopamine being dumped into the bloodstream by interactions you have with people, by the attention you gain from people, whether it's liking of a picture, commenting on a post, or someone feeling sorry for you because you supposedly just went through something pretty shitty and you want all attention and all eyes on you. And now you got your dump for the day. You got your hit, your serotonin and dopamine hit for the day. When in reality, all you're doing is self-destructing. You're causing more harm to yourself than good, because you should be going against the grain. You should be going down the path of most resistance, not least resistance, but most resistance, if you want your life to have purpose and meaning. Because there's going to come a day where maybe you're pretending to be someone you aren't, and you want, for some reason, you give a shit about what everyone thinks of you when you shouldn't. Who gives a shit? Because how they think of you and how they view you doesn't pay your bills. It holds no power, should hold no power over you. But if you allow it to hold power over you, then you're going to always choose that path of least resistance to able to uphold that fictitious notional vision of of what the character you're trying to convey, that you're playing and trying to convey off to all those other people in a day in and day out basis. Weekend warriors type people do that, and they go to the club and they try and portray themselves to be this different person than who they are. So certain people like them, but then those same people are probably talking shit behind their back the moment they're out of sight. You get what I'm saying? So who gives a shit? You should take the path of most resistance. You should take it head on. You should take those challenges, and that's going to fortify, and that's going to make stronger your character, your resolve, who you are as a person. And I always use the example of working out, or a bone breaking. When a bone breaks and it grows back, it comes back stronger in that area. Or when with muscles, tearing down the muscle fibers, so that why you're temporarily make them weaker by lifting heavier weight, which is more resistance, because then you come back stronger on the back end of it. But if you just, the path of least resistance would be just not to work out. And then you can just stay the shitbag that you are. If, I'm not sorry for saying that, but you know what I'm getting at. So to this book, we're going down this path with David. And we're getting ready for him to have another self-inventory moment to where he has an epiphany of, I need to do something with my life, because he falls back into the same patterns that he lived before. And I feel like he's getting ready to be like, fuck this. I'm going to become a Navy SEAL, because no one can tell me I can't be a Navy SEAL. So I'll let you know how that goes when we get there. But I just wanted to kind of dive in a little bit and kind of tell you, like, if you're looking for something to read, you're looking for something to kind of help, not necessarily motivate you, but help you kind of do a self-inventory of yourself, of your own feelings and of your own character and the content within. This is probably a good book for you to download and listen, because he's straightforward and he gets direct and blunt in certain areas. And he's like, he talks about how he's not he doesn't want anyone to look up to him. He's not a hero. You're your own hero. And you have to be you're the hero of your own story, which again, I'm telling you, the man was in my head, because it's shit I've been saying for years, where the only person that you should look up to truly, that's right now that has control over anything in your life is you. And you are the one person that should be your own hero right now. That doesn't mean other people, you can't revere them as special people in your lives or whatnot. But right now, the only hero of your story, especially if you're struggling, should be you. You should be working on the content found within that hero to help break that hero out and let them manifest themselves. So anyway, I just wanted to throw this up, and I'll get back to you with what else I end up, the next time I hop up on here and have another report to tell you about with reading this book. But it's called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Awesome dude. But anyway, I'll talk to you next time. This is Mike with One Mike Out, and we'll see you again on the next one.